Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. You know what's the most difficult part of being the first speaker to set on a stage like this? It's always to find that one liner that's going to get the audience to engage and kind of remember what I'm about to say, because you're about to ingest so much more that you might just forget. I always kind of struggled with this, but luckily for me, we're in 2024, and the good thing about this is that we now have artificial intelligence to do all the work for us. So that's what I've done. I've asked it, hey, AI, could you help me to get an engaging opening for a talk where I'm going to tell people that you will replace all of us very, very soon. It's a talk about the future of work and about really stupid decisions. Do you have anything for me? Here's what it suggested. It started with a metaphor and told me to tell you that your comfort zone is like a very sturdy bridge. It gets you places from A to B, but ultimately will limit where you can go. And it said, you have to tell those people that sometimes they'll need to set that bridge on fire to discover and travel new destinations. If you want them to remember you, on the day of the speech, you should bring a small prop, like a small bridge model, and set it on fire, and surely they'll remember it. I'm certain that if I had set something on fire and started the sprinklers over your heads, you would remember this talk very well. But I suspect a more classical introduction is probably better for this one. So my name is Zélia. I am indeed a designer, but I mostly manage a lot of folks in tech. And my day job consists of helping them figure out what they should be doing with their careers and their creativity when technology changes. I have to tell you, in the past couple of months, this has become a completely philosophical quest. Let me maybe set a bit of context around this. About 8 years ago, I actually gave a talk about the future of creativity and how technology would influence that in the future. The example I gave back then was this beautiful 3D printed piece here. That one artwork took the humans behind it 18 months of work to come up with, and took the computer 500 hours to render. Now, I like to play, so I've done the same thing 2 weeks ago in my kitchen. It took me about 30 seconds to prompt and 40 seconds for my computer to render, but that's because my kids were actually watching Netflix at the same time, so my internet was kind of slow. It has, like, if you think about it, it has come from taking 500 hours for a computer to render this thing to less than 2 minutes. And I'm here to tell you that this will change the way we work, but it's also going to change the way we live in many, many, many ways. When I started in this industry at the very beginning, at the bottom of job descriptions, there was always a fine print that said something along the lines of, you must thrive in fast-paced environment. For those of you who are considering entering the workforce right now, it should read in big, bold letters at the very top, something along the lines of, you must be able to thrive in complete chaos. I know a lot of you in the room today are actually students. I'm sure you've done a lot of work to prepare yourself for the future. But you know, AI kind of told me I was here to set things on fire. So I will tell you that all that you've done was in vain, because everything you've learned is already outdated. We are considering that in about the next 3 years, 50% of people who are working will have to go back to school, because technology will have changed so much that everything that you know will be out of date. But that's obviously for the lucky ones. The unlucky ones, they will simply lose their jobs. We're looking at about 300 million full-time jobs disappearing. And for the first time ever, these are highly qualified jobs. People like me, designers, but also engineers, researchers, doctors, CEOs, and government officials, because machines are kind of better than we are at making strategic decisions. In my day job, we are being asked quite often, how are we supposed to prepare for that? And the funny thing is, we don't have the answer, simply because The jobs that are going to be out there don't even exist anyway. We have no idea what the future looks like. But this is not even what you should be worried about. I'm sure you know. You've seen it. AI is pervasive in art, it's pervasive in music, in films, everywhere. For all you know, this talk is entirely AI generated. You would have no idea. So think about it just for a second as to what it means for our life. What is the first question that people ask each other when they meet for the first time? It's usually something along the lines of, what do you do for a living? Followed by, do you have any hobbies? So now imagine a world where AI does everything and your answer becomes, well, I'm not doing anything because AI took my job and also it paints for me on the weekends, so I don't really have, I don't have anything. We're at a crossroad in society. We are in a place where AI is literally doing all the creative work and we are doing the mundane stuff. No matter how you see it, you can be super pessimistic and imagine that we will have no more work, no more money, and it's going to be a disaster. Or you can be super optimistic and think, this is great, we'll get so much more free time to do more creative things. At the end of the day, this is the same thing. No matter what, we have to rethink the way we live because we'll just end up with a lot more time. The challenge is people are not really ready for this. When I mentor people, when I talk to people, what they tell me is mostly about how they've been told their whole life that this is all a race, that they have to hit milestones at the right time, otherwise they will be behind. But never, ever are people thinking about the one question that we should all be asking ourselves right now. So I'm going to do a little risky thing here. I'm going to ask for a show of hands. And I promise I'm not bringing any of you on stage or doing weird stuff. I'm just, I know you people. I'm just asking a question. I'd like to know, in this room right now, without thinking twice, how many of you have a natural answer to the question, what would you do if you didn't have to work? Okay, 2? I have 2 people in a room of 100 and something-ish that know what they would do if they didn't have a job. Think about it. This is kind of problematic. AI was actually right all along. We are on a bridge, all of us, except the bridge is on fire. We got to jump and we got to figure out how to swim really quickly. We are in a situation where we're suddenly having to ask ourselves things we never had to think about before. We have to figure out how we will bring value in work, and we'll have to figure out how we will be filling free time meaningfully. How are we supposed to do this? I know, it's hard. I do have somewhat of an answer because there is one thing that machines are terrible at, that we humans are extremely good at. And that is making really stupid decisions. They can't take that away from you, I promise. AI in itself, as a product and as a technology, the only thing it can do is to take the most predictable path really quickly. What it cannot do is build empathy, it's create interesting new things that were never, ever, ever created before. It is building a relationship with others. It is building things with purpose. AI has no ethics. It has no values. It has no curiosity. But you do. And so you will soon be extremely valuable if these are all the things you bring to the table. Ergo, that is why we do need humans to start thinking a little bit outside of the beaten path and do a lot more stupid decisions. You might be wondering, what are we talking? What are stupid decisions? Well, you know those decisions that look slightly uncomfortable from the outside? Things where you're like, ugh, I would never do that when you see somebody else doing them. Things like talking to random strangers, creating weird stuff just for fun, putting yourself in risky situations like quitting jobs that don't teach you anything, or moving countries, All of these things will make you extremely valuable and important to society, and this is what will help us all to move forward in the future. For the skeptics in the room, also, taking more risk is actually really, really good for you from a data perspective. Research has proven over and over again that being stupid or taking calculated risk actually expands your creativity and your innovation power. So I'm sure by now you've kind of figured it out, right? The call to action for this whole talk is all about risk-taking. It's all about mustering courage to do really fun things. But it's easy to say. That's not easy to do. There is something that needs to be acknowledged, especially in a world that's going to change extremely fast when it comes to the workforce. And that is that taking a risk is a privilege. It's something that you can do when you have a lot of backups. TED Talks usually don't really cover those things, so that is what I would like to bring to the table today. 3 concrete ways you can take more risks safely if you do not have privilege behind you. I will take a risk again. I will ask you again to raise your hands, but hopefully this time some of you will do that. I would love to know if, when you hear about these changes, you are also wondering about how you will be able to find a job in the future. Is any one of you worried about having to find new opportunities, feeling that they need to learn new things and meet more people? Raise of hand. Yeah, quite a few. Pretty good. This is daunting, right? It's scary. How do you do it when you don't have a network, you don't know anybody? Well, the secret here is to start very, very small, but to do this very, very often. You can start by trying one new stupid thing a week, or meeting one new person a week. At the end of the year, that's 52 new things. AI can't do serendipity. AI cannot do happy accidents. That's impossible. But you do. And for a regular human, doing those things is what expands not only comfort zone, but it also expands the opportunities that you will be facing. Going big and bold is not for everyone. We can't all do that. But you can start small. But maybe some of you are actually doing the bold thing. Anybody in the room about to move countries, quit a job, doing like a really risky thing? Anyone? Hey, look at that, there are quite a few of you. That's so cool. Okay, this is also very scary, but there is a secret that people are not telling you. There is a way to be successful at this, something that takes people over the line. Do you want to know what it is? The secret to taking bold risk and being safe is to have backup plans. What people who take really bold risks never tell you is that they have a bazillion of other options in their back pocket. Maybe that's hard to figure out when you don't have a lot of options yourself, right? You might be wondering, where should I bet? How should I do this? Well, this will all come from a place of having a very strong North Star, which is today's topic, right? But let's see if a lot of you have a very strong North Star in this room today. Quick question. Is anybody actually planning to adopt any of this advice I've just given? Anybody wants to do this? Can I get a raise of hand of people who are like, maybe that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm seeing quite a few. Do not do that. People, do not follow random advice from strangers sitting on stages like this. This is not what this is all about. My North Star is not your North Star. We are in a situation where we need people to have a lot more critical thinking. You need to find what your own direction is. And that is also terrifying and scary, but there are ways. You can start very simply by answering this question. What would you do more of if you didn't have to work? And then all those things, the micro-learnings, the little stupid things that you're trying, the people you meet, they will all amount to this one direction. How will you meaningfully fill your time? Because if you don't answer this question yourself, somebody else will do it for you. And you don't want that somebody else to be a machine. Trust me on that one. Because when I asked how the hell I was supposed to finish this talk, AI told me to bring music and confetti, throw them in the air, film myself, and put it on Instagram. Now, what this is telling me is the technology is not there yet to replace all of us. That is for certain. That being said, the world is changing extremely fast, and we will be facing things we've never faced before, questions we've never faced before. So please, all of you, you are so much smarter than any AI model currently going on out there. So please use that and do a lot more stupid things to push all of us forward and continue getting a creative, innovative society. Thank you.